Couple quick announcements. First of all, I did send out my first round of the holiday catalogs. So if you purchased with me since January, you automatically were sent one on the first round. And I have started sending out a second round for people who don't fit that category, but have ordered from me in the past or taken my classes, or are followers of me and they don't currently have a demonstrator. So if you are in need of a holiday catalog, you don't have a demonstrator, I would love to earn your business. And just let me know that you need a catalog and I'll be sure and get one to you, because it's filled with lots of awesome fall and holiday products. Okay, let's go on, do our project, and then I'll make the other announcement about my Celebration Rewind. And some of you may have already heard about that, but I'll announce it for everybody at the end. So this is the fun fold card we're making. Okay. So really fun and easy. You can make it from one sheet of cardstock. First, I'll go ahead and show you what the Designer Series paper is like. This paper is quite different, has a very different color scheme than what I think for Halloween. But it's got all kinds of different prints. Oh, there we go. I knew there was another one. But the color scheme is black and white, Cajun Craze, Pretty Peacock, and Blackberry Bliss. So you've got your orange and black in there, you've got your purple, and then this Pretty Peacock color. So kind of unusual, and some unusual prints as well too, like these florals. This looks like lace, but if you look closely, it's kind of like a spider web in there. So that's fun. And then this is like flowers and webs and things like that, sort of a damask print, and then spiders. And then on the back side, there's lots of different black and white prints. I love this with the bats and all the variation of the black and gray, different tones in there here too. And I don't know how well this shows up on the video, but you can obviously see the white lacy bats very easily. But then there's some tiny little black bats, just real subtle in that print. Let's see, another, did I say that lace? This bat, that's fun. Some more black and white flowers. And then this fun stripe. And in fact, the white stripes are so thin. When I first looked at it, I actually thought they were silver lines in there. So lots of fun with the Magic is the Night Designer Series paper. And then the product suite includes the Hallows Night Magic stamp set, and it does have coordinating dies, some of which cut out the stamped images. And then there's some extra pieces as well, like the flowers an extra and the leaf. This is an extra, just decorative piece. This is extra. These two go with the bats and the large spider. And then we have these label pieces. And this one matches up nicely to that stamp. But then you can also mount that on with the larger label piece. And these are awesome. I picture myself using these way beyond this Halloween set. I'm going to put them in my little magnetic dish there until I use them so I don't lose them. But I definitely can see myself using those two label pieces for many of our other sentiments in many of the other sets. Okay. Here is a fun Spiderweb embossing folder called Cobwebs. I haven't used it yet, but I love it. And we used to have one long time ago. And it was like one web that covered the entire embossing folder, whereas this has some smaller ones that all congregate together. If that sounds right, congregate for spiders. Here are some iridescent pearls. So again, I'm not sure how well you can see this on the video. Let me put it up a little closer. But as you move it around and see all the different iridescent shades, you can see purples and blues and greens and golds, and it's just really cool. And in fact, I'm going to add a few to the card I've already made here, if I can find my duplicate tool. Here it is. And these are all the same size, if you're wondering, all the same size. How many are in here? I don't even know. 140. So you can do a whole lot with 140 iridescent pearls. Maybe one over, I don't know. Maybe one over here. Okay. Really pretty. Kind of just finishes off the card. And then the last bit that goes with this suite is this fun ribbon. I don't even know what this is called. Metallic mesh ribbon. Isn't that fun? You know, you could, instead of doing a label on that, maybe I wanted to make a belly band or tie a bow around the card to hold it closed. That would be a fun thing to do. Also, because it's this metallic silver, I picture this using this for occasions such as graduations, Christmas and holiday decor, perhaps New Year's Eve. You know, you do your golds and silvers and metallics and sparkly things for New Year's Eve. So that is a lot of fun. I wonder if you can see it better if I put it like this. Okay. So it seems like it's super delicate, that it would just start falling apart, but it doesn't. You can move it around and it does not fall apart. So a wonderful embellishment. Okay, so let's start making one of these, and I'm just going to call it the flip-flop card. The person who I learned this from, Heidi Collins' blog, I believe that's what she called it, the flip-flop card. So you need one full sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock to make one of these fun fold cards. And the first thing you're going to do is score. You have your paper in the horizontal position, and you're going to score at, whoops, that's at 5.5. Then you're going to turn it to the vertical position, and you're going to score at 2 1/8. Flip it around and score at 2 1/8 again. Or you can pull your arm out and score at 2 1/8 and 6 3/8. It's just that a 3/8 mark is right here, so it's a little bit harder to see it. But either way works fine, whichever you're most comfortable with. Now, for the next part, you need to cut on these two long score lines, but only to the middle. And you can do it with your scissors, but my hands are not that steady that I get the perfect line. So I like to use my paper trimmer. Now on here, there are lines at the sides. This is to help guide you when this line on each side matches up to the 5.5 mark on the ruler, or even just your score line. you know you can stop there. You see how that went right there? And then I'm going to scoot over to the 6 3/8. Did I score that correctly? For some reason it looks wider. Let me check my measurements. No? Okay. Yeah, the 6 3/8 is kind of hard to see over there. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to go right on that score line, and I'm going to stop when these indented lines on my blade reach the 5.5. Okay. So this is what I have now. Now you're going to turn it and line it up at 5.5. Get that in my ink if I'm not careful. And you want to cut from here to there, and then from here to that line. So in essence, we're getting rid of these two panels. Okay, let me show you what I mean here. And again, you just keep an eye on how far that blade is going, and it slips right out. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the next one, and I can actually just push that blade down a bit and pull, and it comes out so nicely. And then I have really nice straight edges, much more straight than if I were trying to cut it myself with the scissors. Okay, so because this is a fun fold and because we have lots of layers, you should use your bone folder and make sure that all the folds are nice and complete here. And this one can be a little bit tricky, this large one, because you've got all this cardstock in here. So it might look, once you really burnish that fold, it might look like this edge is just a wee bit shorter. In fact, you can see on my sample card that it is. I don't think most people would notice that, but if it bothers you, just go back in with your paper trimmer and cut off just the slightest little bit. Like just, oh, I don't even know. It's not even a 1/16 of an inch. I'm going to call it a smidgen. Okay. And that'll take care of that. And it folds a little bit better too. Okay. Easy peasy. Now let's decorate the front of our card. I'm basically using the same papers, but I'm going to change things up just a little bit when we get to decorating the flaps. And the prints I'm using, hold on one second. Sorry, needed one more thing. Forgot that piece. Okay, so you want a 5 1/4 by 4 inch Whisper White or whatever light color neutral you're going to put inside. Even like a light gray would be nice. I'm going to use my Memento ink and stamp a few spiders on here. Now, I will tell you, and trust me when I say this because I'm speaking from experience, don't press, oops, we have a small spider. We should get him in here too. Don't press super hard when you're stamping the spider because it's very easy to get those rubber edges. Okay, learning from experience. Debbie, welcome and thanks for sharing. I see Julie has jumped on. Who else? Mary Lou, Joan, Julie Heights, Fran, Susan, Ruby, your name sounds new to me. Welcome. Wendy, Leah, Oh gosh, so many of you. Thank you very much. And now that I've stamped my inside, I'm ready to adhere this piece to the middle or the inside of my card base. I feel like my scoring was off just a smidgen because it's not matching up in the middle, like, but the sizes all match up. I don't know. Okay. So now I'm going to decorate the front. And I've chosen the spider print, which is the, has this cool diamond pattern on the back. So I'm going to adhere this first. Okay. And then I have a different designer series paper that I've cut to 3 inches by 4 inches. And I'm mounting it on a piece of black cardstock, just like my card base. And that measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And again, when I post this, you can always go back and watch the replay for the dimensions, but when I post it to my blog in a few days, you'll be able to find the dimensions there as well. And on YouTube, I put the video on YouTube. Okay, so it's going to look like that. I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to the front. Alrighty, and before I finish off the front, because I'm not sure if I'm doing the same thing or we'll play and do something a little bit different, I do want to finish off these gatefolds, these panels. So on the first card, I just used 1 layer of designer series paper on the front and back of each panel. I'm changing it up a little bit this time. So my first layer is actually going to be cardstock. And this measures 5 1/4 by 1 7/8. And then the designer series paper is 5 1/8 by 1 3/4. And you get that tiny little border of Blackberry Bliss around that web-looking lace. And the panels for the front and the back sides of these gates are the same size. And by the way, 2 of these 4 pieces came from the cutaway parts from my first card. And again, you can decide if you want to layer the DSP up on top of a layer of cardstock, or if you just want to do DSP like in my first card. And then I'm going to put these spiders on the Blackberry Bliss on the inside. Did anybody do any stamping or other crafting today? Oh, Julie, you're funny. I wasn't sure how I felt about this paper, but and these are the first 2 cards I've made with it. But I have to say, after pulling it out and just looking at it and thinking about it for a bit, I have found that I do like it. But like I said, it's just a little bit out of my comfort zone, you know. But I do like it. And honestly, there are several prints in the designer series paper that you can use well beyond Halloween. So I like that. I like that a lot. Just like the label dies in this set. Debbie, that is, cookie orders are crafting. That's definitely a craft. You get to show off your creativity. And Vicki made a birthday card. Oh, Julie, you're funny. You know, it's easy to get caught up in YouTube videos and Pinterest and Facebook and all that. I've had to really kind of just for a long time now, just kind of cool it on social media, except for my business, because it is so very time consuming. Yes, okay. So now we need to think about how to finish this off. I was thinking about doing something like this. I'm going to, where's my scrap? Here it is. I'm going to show you what this large label looks like. Now on the first one I did, can you tell that I just used my sponge dauber and the Blackberry Bliss ink pad to add some color to that white label? There's nothing wrong with it being stark white, but I thought I'll just see what that looks like. This one I think I'm leaving stark white though. So I'm going to stamp my label. And then I have Happy Halloween here. Ink that up. Actually, I'm going to try it on my grid paper first to see how straight. Oh, that's pretty good. I've got it lined up with those grid lines pretty well. So hopefully I can do that now, right here. Ah, nice. Good job, Mary. Okay. And if you look at the detail on this stamp, you can see web, flowers, leaves, some little lines and dots in there. You could color that in. That might be fun to do. Or you can just leave it white as is. I think I want to do a little coloring. And I'm just going to use, this might be too dark though, I'm afraid. Yeah, that's going to be pretty dark if I do the flowers that way. So maybe I'll just accent them with the Blackberry Bliss. And maybe later I'll go back in with my blender pen and pull some of that color out into the rest of the flower. That way I'll get a nice Blackberry Bliss color, but it won't be so dark that you can't see the details in the leaves. Let's see here. I'll show you what I mean. See how you can just do a few strokes, circular motion with your blender pen, and that pulls out some of the original Blackberry Bliss ink and gives you a shade of Blackberry Bliss without making those too dark. Of course, you could use blender pens as well. And blender pens are usually my choice. I just thought I would go with the Stampin' Write markers tonight just because I haven't been playing with them much. Okay, I like that. Look how dark the flower would be. Do it this way. See, that would be super dark and you wouldn't even be able to see the detailed lines in the flower. And then I will add some pretty peacock because that's what they used in this color scheme, although I don't have any pretty peacock paper on this card. But this just adds a little splash of color. Leaves are teeny tiny. And of course, there's nothing wrong with not even coloring any of it. You could also stamp this on something other than white. Almost finished. Okay, pretty good. So now let's cut this out with the Big Shot. I'm using that smaller label die. Okay, make sure it's not going to move on me. Hi, Ree. Thanks for joining in. Hi, Pam. Patricia, Rich, Jerry. Oh, people keep joining in. I'm so happy. Thank you. It does look like I let it move a little bit off to the one side, but that's okay. I can work with that. And, oh, here's the other label. So I think something like that would be neat. So I'm going to put this white label on with some dimensionals. I'm down to the last bit here, so I'm just kind of tearing a small bit off to use that all up before I start another package. Okay. I do kind of like it at the angle there. What do you think? Straight again? Nah, I think we should go for the angle. Let's do something a little fancier. But before I adhere that, I want to see what it looks like if I make a bow with this metallic mesh ribbon. So you can make pretty big bows with this. Don't need anything huge, but definitely, you know, to wrap a package with or decorate a banner with, anything like that. Oh, that is cute. And you know, because this is so thin, this is going to go through the mail even easier than most of our regular ribbons because it's so white laid. Even that knot will just squish down real easily. Okay, I think I want to do this. What do you think? Do you like the mesh ribbon? They ordinarily would not use a ribbon this wide on a card, but I did think it might work because of how fine it is. And I will add this to the card front with glue dots. Okay, now that's going to be top, maybe at the top, so the tails are still hanging over the card front, not off the card. I'm going to make this just a little smaller. Oh, you like it? Okay, good to hear. I'm so happy. It's sometimes tricky with using new products. You know, you're not always sure how it's going to come together immediately. Put this a little bit lower, like that. Well, phooey, I was just about at the very end of the Facebook Live when Facebook kicked me out. But here's a look at the finished cards. Okay, there's the finished cards, and I'll open one up so you can be reminded of the fun fold. And I'm just calling this a flip-flop card, or maybe a flip-flop gatefold card. Here's the other one. So you'll want to go back to the previous Facebook Live that I started at 7 so you can see how to make this wonderful fun fold card. And now, I took this off my stand. I probably shouldn't have. The only other thing, and I'm going to flip this around, and you're going to walk through my messy craft room with me. But the other announcement I wanted to tell you, in addition to bonus days happening through August 3rd, and originally I think I said July 31st, but I'm correcting myself. It's August 3rd. So that will be Monday is the last day to collect bonus points from Stampin' Up. You get a $5 coupon for every $50 purchase you make. The other thing happening until August 3rd is that I have this table full of old retired Celebration stamp sets. And if you place that $50 order with me using the host code that's in the Facebook group I made for this sale, it's called Mary's Celebration Rewind 2020. So you could pick out one of these. You can claim an item and just make the qualifying order with the host code that is in that Facebook group or in the email announcement about this promotion. It is a different host code than my monthly host code, just so you know. And if you can't find it, just ask me. But so you can collect a $5 coupon code from Stampin' Up! To use beginning August 4th and get a free celebration item as well for that $50 purchase. So be sure and check that out on the promotion Facebook group called Mary's Celebration Rewind 2020. And that is all. Here, I'll give you a peek this way. When my room's on camera, it doesn't look so messy. But trust me, in that corner, it's a big, ugly mess. So have a good night. Thanks for joining me. Take care, and I'll see you soon.